Oh shit, you guys should see what is going on over here.
Some disco vibes.
Oh, and if you can't see, you're missing out. Check it out. Well, hello, and welcome to the Hannah Eden podcast. We are here today with the very special Francheska Martinez. That's Francesca with a K, not with a regular spelling, which is a C, right?
Correct. I think this is a K.
Wait, which was it? I like that. And if you can't see it, I have no idea what you're doing. But she's holding up a hand sign that shows the letter K. I like that. So if you guys do not know who Francesca Martinez is, she has got a hell of a community online. We've got over 289,000 people from around the world that see you every day. And just a few little things about who she is before we get started. She is known as the functional movement guru. She sells a lot of online programs. She's got siblings that are from Miami. Isn't that your motherland, where you're from originally? Mm-hmm. And you should see the list of extensive certifications and knowledge that this chick has. Moves really well, very well known in this industry. And I'm so honored to be here with you in Austin, Texas, so thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome. So I think that's pretty interesting, right? Every single person that's ever given me a podcast, we always get like the same kind of questions every time. Mm-hmm. So the idea behind this podcast is to try and peel back the layers. And I was gonna sit there and read your bio online, but anyone can find that. So rather than doing that and trying to sell you, I think that you're a really rad human being and just you alone is enough. Aww. So I'm really excited to get to know you on more of a personal level, on a business level, and then as far as your relationships and how you work through that. And so why don't we start with the personal?
Let's do it.
Who are you, girl? Tell me about you.
So pretty much, I love to consider myself a movement enthusiast. You know, I think movement to me is just kind of something that kind of just makes me feel well-rounded. Like it makes me feel like how you mentioned relationships and personal life and business. I feel like that's kind of something that helps me stay focused in all aspects of life, not just fitness. You know, to me, I think movement is a little bit like more holistic. Like I do it to feel good. Mm-hmm. I do it for my health. And I think, of course, you know, it's part of my business, but I think it just makes me feel good. And I think that's kind of like that kind of embodies who I am just from like an outside perspective. Like I'm just a mover, you know, I'm just a human, just moving around, just like trying to, you know, enjoy every moment for the most part. That's
awesome. And this is who you are right now, right? But if we rewind and peel back some more layers, you went to UCF. Yeah. You have a degree in exercise sports science. Was fitness always your goal to kind of make that your career?
No. I was the type of person that when I enrolled into university, like I was somebody that I thought I wanted to do the pre-med route, but then the university I enrolled in, they had like a really complicated pre-med route. So I was like, this isn't what I wanted. So I just ended up choosing like a completely different major. I was never necessarily like my goal. It's kind of just where I ended up. So awesome. I like that.
A great foundation too, you know. For me, I wish I had that. Like I stumbled into fitness by accident and kind of had to try and catch up. One thing else I think that we have in common that I value and have a lot of respect for is the fact that you are a practitioner. Like you aren't someone that's just gonna sit there and ask people to do something as a coach and not be willing to do it yourself. Your extensive continued education is extremely impressive. And for a lot of trainers, they get one under the belt and they're like, that's it for me. And I think that's a big difference between people that pursue passion for purpose and people that are just trying to find a job, right?
Absolutely.
So where's your head at for that and like why?
Ooh. To me, I think one of the cheesy things that a lot of my like mentors have said, it's like always be a student, you know, always be a student. And I think that's just like a beautiful like mentality. And I think I love cliches because I think Hannah and I before this were talking about like keep it simple, stupid, you know? Yeah. Sometimes you overcomplicate things. So I feel like a lot of times mantras like just help me stay focused. So I think for me, it's just, you know, just keep it simple and wait, what was my mantra? I got lost. I got lost.
No, we were talking about, now I'm lost, fuck. Is anyone listening? Can anyone help us pick up where we were? No, we were talking about how you further your education and you're, I was going to use the word sponge, like you're always a student.
Yes, always a student.
Is that because you feel like you're never done learning or you're just what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I feel like one, you're never done learning and there's so many different perspectives. I think one thing that I learned in university, it's like, we can have a textbook and we can all learn like the same foundations. Like we can learn like squat, push and pull and this is great for you. And this is, you know, high intensity workouts, you have strength training, and then you have, you know, cardiovascular training. And everything seems so like black and white. And I think that's the way that we're like taught to learn. It's like, this is black, this is white, this is up, this is down. And I think the beauty of always learning and learning from different people is just seeing their perspective.
Yeah.
And I think to me, that's really what is always like, I'm always scratching an itch. I'm like, wow, this person's perspective is like, for one example, one of my coaches, they're a wrestling coach.
Awesome.
So their perspective of moving is completely different from like a traditional weightlifting coach, or like my animal flow coach, or my handstand coach. So I think for me, it's like trying to understand other people's perspectives, and more so like figuring out like the why. You know, why are they doing it in this way? How does that translate to like your desired benefit, or you know, whatever your goal is.
Yeah, and I think as a coach, right, when this comes up a lot, and I don't want to go there because it's a very common theme, but as a coach, we're always giving ourselves to someone else, like, right, trying to give our energy to them and make that uplift this individual. That can be extremely exhausting, right? If you're not feeling fulfilled yourself, or feeling like your drive is alive, or you're inspired to keep being that person to show up for them. So I think it's amazing that you're able to continue trying these new things, because not only are you learning for yourself, but then you can apply it to your clients of any kind. And I think that's huge. I think that there's something that I heard you say, and I just want to let you guys know that she also does workshops around the whole country with her beautiful boyfriend, Eric. And these guys do movement workshops. There's a great balance. We actually went to one in Miami, Coral Gables, right? A great mix of bodyweight movement with kettlebell. But one thing that I thought was really cool is the fact that you're able to apply this to people that you see in real life. And I don't know about you, but we can read a book and learn it all. But unless you actually have hands-on experience to be able to understand how people move, it's not the same.
Not the same at all.
And I don't know about you, I don't know if you have people that you work with or that you would refer to, but coaches that used to come into PumpFit with a really long list of certifications and barely any experience would never get hired. Like, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you have no hands-on experience in real life on how to apply it, it doesn't really match, right? Well, that's very cool.
Yeah, and I think the beautiful thing too about like the practical part about applying coaching techniques is like every person's different.
Yeah.
So even when you think that you know it all, you'll meet this one person and they'll stump you, and you're like, I didn't know people could move like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, wow, I didn't know, you know, a knee could go back like that, and it, you know.
And there's also a lot of common things that can go wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Like, especially when it comes to the technicality of the things that we're trying to coach or teach other people. When it comes to a virtual version of that too, you're adding even more layers of complications and room for error, right? Like, to me, I remember when we first opened Pump, it was like, we're never going to program snatches. We're never going to program kettlebell cleans, because it was like, there's 17 of them, there's one of me. But that's just green coach. The more experience you get, you understand the tools, the cues, the tips that you need to say and apply for this person to understand or pick up what you're putting down. And the experience that Pal and I had when we went to your workshop was just that. And it was really impressive. So tell us more about that, how that all came about. And we can talk about the business collaboration with Eric in a little bit, but your side, from where you're at and how you kind of came to do this and why you love to do it.
So pretty much, I was always an active person. I kind of grew up doing all different sports, so kind of just dabbling around. So I did karate, soccer, flag football in college. I danced for a long time too.
Break dancer, by the way.
Yeah.
What's up? We got a B-girl in the house.
Way back.
That's awesome though.
But I love all types of dance too. So kind of just always being active, I think that kind of resulted in a lot of injuries. So I think for me, it was like I always loved to move, but I was always getting hurt. So I was trying to find that like middle ground where it's like, how can I move without getting hurt? And then specifically for me, as like going into like the fitness classes, I was like getting the freshman 15, and it was funny because like I was still active. Like I was working out all the time, or like, you know, rollerblading. It's working out.
Yeah.
So I was just always doing cardio though, and I think the biggest thing for me is I didn't understand like that I needed more muscle, and that I needed to change my body composition, and I had like an inkling of like maybe this is what I need to do. So I was like, all right, let me take a fitness class, and then that was kind of just, you know, my oyster opened up, and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. So then, as being an active person with a lot of injuries, and I also have scoliosis, so that's why I was twin. So that's why I was really extra into like and driven to the biomechanics. I was like, wait, you know, there's a whole thing to posture and like how to, you know, improve imbalances. So I think that's kind of really how I got driven into movement, and kind of just flourished from there. But I didn't choose it as a career at first. So it kind of just like happened eventually.
Well, you know what? I think those are the most successful stories. And I'll use Instagram for an example, but I never tried to make an Instagram page.
Same.
And there's so many people that are like, can you give me some tips on how to build a following? It's like, you're in it for the wrong reason. Immediately, just stop. Like, if you're trying to get a following, then people aren't going to follow you. Like, if you, obviously it's a business and you want to grow, but like, you got to just pursue what you want to do authentically.
Super
and I think
authentic.
people are attracted to that. And that's definitely happened with you. That 100% happened with me. But it's really, really, really cool. There's one thing that I was going to say and I forgot to say it. There was something you said in the workshop that I went to that talk about always be a student, be a sponge. We both sponged this up and it's something that I can't let go of, and I hear you say it too. Kathy Donato.
Oh my God.
Put her hands up for good old Kathy, right? What a G
Not
in this
even,
world.
she has a bow for me.
Right?
Like,
Bow.
humble.
She's amazing. But I took her to when I did my level 1 and she said, just get a toolbox, guys. Just keep adding tools to your toolbox. And that's something that I've taken with me. I heard you say it at the workshop. But this is what it's all about. Like, surrounding yourself with other people that are fucking fantastic at what they do. Not trying to copy them by any means, but learning from the best and being a sponge and absorbing these pieces of that connect with you and then applying that in your own way. That's how the best coaches have come around.
I love Kathy so much.
She's amazing.
Anytime
She
someone
really
says her
is.
name, I'm like,
Huge shout out! What up, Katie?
so much emotion.
Yeah, she's a great human. We were talking about how you didn't choose it as a career. What was that about?
So that was, kind of going back to like, I'm kind of like a free flower, I kind of like to just try to be in the moment, and sometimes it kind of like, you kind of shoot yourself in the foot if you're like too in the moment.
That's me.
That's why we're both like, wait, what were we saying?
Yeah, wait, there's a butterfly, wow.
Twins. But in college, like even into senior year, like I still wasn't sure as which path I wanted to pursue. And I had, let's say like 5 cards of like, these can be possible options.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of just came to shove, and like, we're in America. Like, if you don't have money, you're gonna live under a bridge. Like, of course, I was always welcome back to my family's home, but as soon as I moved out at 17, I knew that was like not an option for me.
Like personally, right?
Personally, yeah. And I love my family, but I think space is good for some people.
Mm-hmm.
But long story short, I was like, oh man, I need a job.
Yeah.
So I just got the first job that I could, and it was at a law firm. So my uncle kind of hooked me up with the job, and they loved me at the interview, and they're like, great, are you good at math? And I was like, that's my favorite. So I was their billing specialist, and then I remember a couple months in, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore, I can't sit anymore. And
were you already into movement at this time?
Yeah,
okay.
So this was, I'd actually gotten my minor in exercise sports science.
Cool.
So a sociology major, exercise sports science minor, if I can say it correctly,
blah, 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 blah.
But yeah, so I had all the, tools in my toolbox per se to like stay healthy, but I think the job got me like in such a depressed state that like I had yoga in my life, but to me that wasn't enough to feel like I was like maintaining my health.
Mm-hmm.
Like I needed more strength training. I feel like I just needed a different type of movement, and I felt like my mental health was like very like bleak. To say the least.
That's a good way of putting it.
But I decided that I didn't want to be in that type of career anymore. I couldn't live a sedentary life.
Mm-hmm.
So then, I kind of just started like soul searching, and I thought, wow, I really love like sharing my passion for fitness with people. Because in college, that was like my happy hour. I would go to the gym with my friends, and we would teach each other like handstands. We would train for Tough Mudders. We would always be teaching each other different tricks and trades.
So that team, that kind of, group effort.
Yeah, and I remember too, like I learned how to weightlift from like one of my friends that was a super bro. So I always loved that community, how you said, like exchanging ideas and being able to bring things back and forth. But yeah, so eventually I decided, all right, I need to get out of this career. And then I just dove into fitness at first.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool, very cool. Well, now that's always going to be interesting, right? The backstory on who you are. I think something that I picked up from you was that, I mean this in the nicest way, but you're a fellow weirdo. Like, straight up, like I take that as such a compliment when someone says that to me. Like, you're such an interesting person that clearly is extremely authentic and just rolls through life, doing her thing, your style, your shoes, your swag, like you're dancing randomly. Like I have so much love for that, and I think it's absolutely amazing. So where is that from? Because I don't know about you, or if you ever did go through this stage when, as a woman trying to grow up in this weird, wonderful world, of kind of understanding who you're trying to be, who you are, and like staying true to that when the rest of your world is saying, no, you should look like this, no, you shouldn't say that, that's inappropriate, no, like trying to tell us how we should be. what goes through your mind when you obviously know that you're different, right? You're proud of who you are, you're comfortable in your own skin. What's that thought process for you? Or did you ever go through a weird stage where it was not quite that?
No, I think middle school was the time where I really struggled with being my authentic self. And I think a lot of us feel that growing pain in middle school. It's like, wait, do I want to be like my peers, or do I want to be how I've always been?
Right.
But I feel like I was always my own little person as a kid. I remember too, all my friends would call me bossy, and they'd be like, you're bossy. But I have memories of being 3 years old and having a party, and we're like, we need to turn off this party music and listen to Barney. And I feel like I've always just had that, not even a bossy personality, but just very, knowing what I wanted.
Yeah.
And being very sure of what I want and what I like. And I feel like in middle school, that's where I felt that friction. I was like, wait, my friends think we should all be like this. And then of course, most people, you go with the flow and you try to, do what your friends are doing. But I think once I was in, I think the summer of 8th grade, or 7th to 8th grade, I think is when I realized, you know what? I actually don't care what these people think about me, And I think I had some situations where, my best friends kind of, we weren't best friends anymore.
Yeah.
Our relationships dissolved.
Yeah.
So
isn't that interesting how that happens? It's forever friends, and then within 24 hours, it's oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be friends again.
You're ready to sharpen a shank and stab a person.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Pretty much. But I think just one of those summers, I was like, wow, your opinion matters more than anybody else's, and we have to, figure out how to prioritize that. And I think after that, I never went back.
That's cool. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Well, first knowing who you are, being comfortable in your own skin and understanding that. But also that's really impressive, because I couldn't do that. It took me years to figure out actually, I need to find who I really am and stop being someone that I think that others think that I should be. And this is a really heavy loaded quote. You ready? We all try and pursue to be the person that we think other people think that we should be. When the person that you think thinks that you should be some way hasn't even fucking crossed their mind.
No.
It's this idea of what we're trying to work towards or trying to be for the own reality in our side of our mind, which is not the case for a lot of people.
Absolutely. And there was this really popular quote or meme that went around for a little bit, and it was saying that every person you've met has a different idea of who you even are.
Absolutely.
So it's what is that ideal? It's a completely arbitrary, thing.
Yeah, and so stop trying to be that person and just be you, right? Because their idea of you is totally different anyway. So you're working really hard for no reason. But once I could understand that, which is a really heavily loaded sentence, whoa, that's so true. And I can even test myself now. If I'm in a good state of mind, how I approach a situation or handle something is significantly different than if I'm not. So your own reality and your mind is going to dictate how you see the world, right? Or how you see other people, or how you feel perceived by other people. So it's really cool, and I'm so pumped that we got to do this. There's very few people, especially in this industry. It's a really incredible industry, but it's also, I can understand how easy it would be to get wrapped up in it and become someone that you're really not.
It's so easy because it's physical.
Yeah. And it's a lot of praise, we get worshipped from people, a lot of praise, and that can add up. And if you don't have the ability to separate yourself from that world, that can get to your head. And I've seen that happen with some of the coolest people, and it's man, that's so sad, because you're a really cool human that got sucked into that, and hopefully somewhere along the way, they find themselves again. But I think the people that are true to themselves and super authentic are the people that will be in this industry for a while. So I'm really excited to be doing this with you, and excited that our worlds are crossing. I know. And from Miami, live in Fort Lauderdale. Now you live here in Austin, and we never really managed to do this before now. So I'm glad I made it all the way here, just for you,
It was funny too, because when I discovered Hannah, it was, like she said, just for being authentically herself. And it was actually not even on social media. It was another fellow coach who's super badass too. He's like, you met Hannah? He's like, you guys do very similar stuff. I'm like, no, I never heard of this person. And then I stumbled on her Instagram. I was like, wow, she's super cool. And then I messaged her, and I was like, she'll probably never message back. She has you even then, that was 3 years ago, and you still had a bazillion followers. And she messaged back, and I was like, man, this chick is so cool. And then we still didn't meet, because I think I moved that same month.
Yeah, it was just around then. I'm like, shit, man, she's leaving. And to be honest, Fort Lauderdale is a little bubble, right? Fort Lauderdale was home for me always, so I never crossed over with like
What's
working.
Miami?
Right, exactly. I never went to Miami. It was like a whole different freaking world. But I'm so glad that we did this. And I'm so glad I was able to experience, you know, your work while you're in your hometown with Eric and now over here as well. And we've done some stuff together in the past at On It, which was really cool.
Yes.
So let's obviously talk about how, and we'll save it because we'll have to do a podcast with all four of us together. Paolo and I, yourself and Eric, you know, being in a relationship with someone that you also do business with is really fucking hard, okay? No,
Don't let anyone lie to you,
yeah.
okay?
Yeah. I think Paolo and I try and do our best to show the reality of it sometimes, which ain't always pretty. But a lot of people put it out there like it's really easy. And I don't know about you, but I don't think it's easy. If you're comfortable with it, share your experience of how you met Eric and how and when you decided to merge your worlds together to pursue business together.
So we met in Miami, funny
Awesome.
enough, because he went to Miami to teach a workshop, and my uncle was like our kind of mutual connection. And my uncle is like your age, so he's super, super young. Yeah, Hannah's only like 2 years older than me. But yeah, so we met through my uncle at a bar, and we kind of just hit it off. And he was like, "Hey, you're into fitness?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm a coach too." So I think that was kind of like the spark. It was like, "Wow, you're into fitness."
I love fitness too.
But we hit it off, and then 3 months later, I moved to Austin, and then the decision to work together actually started off as me working for him.
Cool.
So I was kind of like on the back end of their website because he had just launched his online platform. So I was helping his team out with like all the things, you know, emails, all the behind the scene things that you guys don't even care about, you know.
Which is really cool. I love learning this stuff because I want to get to this part afterwards.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take notes so I don't
behind the
forget.
scenes. But yeah, so I would help him with all the behind the scenes stuff, and it was really difficult because I think when I first started working for him, like I'm a go-getter, if y'all couldn't tell. So I was like, all right, you know, we're gonna like go to the max and we're gonna like try to give it our all and see like how this evolves, because everything was moving so fast. So I was really excited. But I would come home at night with like some work ideas, and it would be like 8 o'clock at night and he's like trying to cook dinner, and I'd be like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And then he'd be like, "Yeah, okay." I'm like, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he's like trying to just like decompress from work. And it's funny because now the tables switch. So now it's him bombarding me at night and I'm trying to relax.
And you're like, "Excuse me,
"Excuse me, sir.
I'm decompressing right now."
This is my off time."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was funny because I think we weren't able to figure out like each other's workflows yet. So I think at first, like, you know, I might have been coming off a little strong, like trying to like fill in every moment with work. And then after a couple months, we stopped working together just because it got like really intense. I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think I want to work for your team anymore. I'd rather just, you know, focus on my own thing.
Which is awesome to have that transparency, because if you don't, you build that up and you're just like, "Ah!"
And it's always a blessing in disguise. You know,
Yeah.
I think anytime, and I feel like for a lot of us, it's hard to quit stuff. But I think it's all about perspective, you know? Like, if something doesn't work out for you, you just need to find what works for you. It's not a bad thing.
Right.
You know, so
It's not the end of the road, right?
And I've always had that mentality of like, it's a blessing in disguise. Like, the worst thing could happen to me, and I call my friends and I'm like, "Don't worry, girl, it's a blessing in disguise."
We don't know what it is yet, but it's going to be for the best. I can feel it. I love that.
That's literally how I am, though. And then it worked out great, you know? And now, after that, he saw how like I was like being super go-getter with my own thing, and then I kind of like, you know, transferred that intensity onto my own project. And I think it's great for things to, like, when you're starting something new, go balls to the wall.
Yeah.
But then have like a realistic perspective, like, you know, it's not gonna last forever.
Right. And it's not sustainable, right?
No, it's not. So once I think we got to a place where like he realized that like I was doing well with my thing and he was doing well with his thing, we're like, wait, you know, maybe we should try to, you know, meet in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then, once I'd gotten like, you know, and I think for anybody that's not familiar with like how my business runs, like having my things together is like my online platform, having my personal clients still, you know, feeling like I'm well-rounded in my business. And then Eric was still doing the same. So we're like, wow, this is a great time to like share our work with people around the States. Because a lot of people were asking like, hey, could you do sessions in New York? And we're like, wait, we have like 5 people in New York asking us for private sessions. We should just do a workshop.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it organically came about.
I love that. And now do you guys have an allotted amount? Obviously things have been really fucking hard with the old COVID-19, but talk to me about what's been going on with that. Do you have anything coming up?
So we put it on pause, and I think we're both kind of similar. We're with the fact that we kind of like to do one step at a time.
Yeah.
So of course we have like visions for things we want to do, but like if anybody that manages their own business, like if you try to take a big bite at once, you're like setting yourself up to drown.
Yeah.
But I think right now where we're at is we want to do virtual workshops, but I think we want to try and just do like a free one, like a free virtual workshop for like maybe 100 people, and see how it goes and just feel the flow.
I love that.
You know how it is, like once you transfer things online, there's like different kinks that you don't like anticipate.
Yes, that's for sure.
A lot of kinks.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, where do we begin here? There really is, and it's a skill. And I'm gonna move on to this now, so I wrote my notes so I don't forget.
Yes.
I didn't know that you actually worked for Eric. I don't know if you like that at the beginning, but I think it's really cool to see how much you've learned, because watching from the outside in, I always thought that you had help with your stuff. And like her branding is on point. She knows how to build a brand, like her creatives, your PDFs, all of your graphics, all your shit is really cool. And like I'm a weirdo with that stuff, and I am really into that.
Your PDFs look nice.
Thanks, girl. No, your PDFs look nice. No, yours look
But
nice.
for real, I'm like, how does she fit so much stuff on one page?
I'll teach you all the tricks. It's actually, honestly, well, I'll tell you another time because everyone takes all secrets, you know what I'm saying? No, it's so easy, it's ridiculous. But I think it's cool, and it takes a lot to do that, especially as a one-man team, and to be so efficient with putting content out and being so consistent. Like, do you have a workflow for your week? Do you have schedule routine? Ooh. Are you a type A person? Like, who are you?
I think
to be able to handle it well, it takes a lot.
I always joke that I'm like a 50-50. Like I'm 50% introvert, 50% extro, and then with the AD personalities, I think I'm both.
Yeah, I like that.
But honestly, I did have like an amazing workflow where I had like Monday, you know, we do this, and then Friday was like a half day, you know. But life kind of fell off.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got hit left and right, and like 2020 really like had me on my knees. So I don't have a workflow yet, but I'm trying to get it back so desperately.
But I have to say, from the outside in, you'd never know. Because you're still doing a stellar job. And I feel you, it's exhausting. It's like, you can be on your game and you're on it, and it's like, my bandwidth is great. Like, I've got this. Like, I got more in me, everything's fine. And then 2 weeks rolls around, it's like, oh my gosh. Like, no, everything is so overwhelming. And again, I think that all has to do with how you feel inside, right? So, I don't know if you've ever read the book, The 5 Love Languages. It's a great book by Gary Chapman. And I think anyone that is in a long-term relationship, especially married, should read this book. And it talks about, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I'm going to fuck this up, but I'm going to try and remember it, okay? So it talks about a guy that works with, he's a marriage counselor and has been for years. And he sees like these, as a coach too, like common themes that happen, which are that people are not communicating well, or they think that they're communicating, but they're talking different languages. So what they're putting down is not being picked up. Like you always hear married couples, right? Like, I've been trying so hard, like I've been doing the laundry every night and the wife isn't even noticing and da-da-da-da, like I'm trying, and then the wife's like, he's not trying at all, you know, when was the last time we went on a date and blah, 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 and it's like, hang on, now this person can sit down and go, okay, wow, he thinks that she's picking up love by doing acts of service, right? So he's doing the laundry, and these are the 5 love languages. Oh my gosh,
you got it.
Acts of service, so doing laundry, taking the trash out, stuff. Words of affirmation, hey girl, you look sick, you know, look at that ass, you know. Physical touch, touchy, physical, sex, all that shit. Gifts, and quality time. Boom! I killed it.
You did.
Gift giver and quality time. So all of these 5 things are different. So if your love tank is not full, how could you ever want to give love to someone else, right? So I can use this example with Paolo, right? Like one of my love languages, pretty sure I'm like trilingual at this point, but one of my strong love languages is definitely acts of service, right? Like I think that's from being from an Asian family where there's not much telling I love you, there's more like showing that I love you kind of thing. And then Paolo's is physical touch. So whenever I feel like I'm not being loved enough, I'm not going to give you love kind of thing, right? So it's this conversation of being open enough to talk about it. But I totally forgot about what we were talking about. I just wanted to throw that in there. But obviously, whatever we were talking about was about your tank. So your tank is not feeling full, so you can't give. But if you're feeling fulfilled and you feel like your love tank or your motivation tank or your fulfillment tank is full, then you're ready to give to the world and like just create and put shit out there. So I think it's important that you said that about 2020 kicking your ass, Do you want to go into detail as to what happened in 2020?
And actually, it's funny because it's true. You know, like what you're saying about like emotional health, I think that pertains to like where I am right now. I'm like, you know, we need to focus on our emotions and like communicate and like be transparent. And but 2020 had me down. So in June, Eric and I got COVID, and Eric got put down like so bad, poor guy. And thankfully, like I was all right. I still got sick from COVID, but I was like trying to be his caretaker and trying to like, you know, do the whole thing. I was trying to work with COVID and like take care of him.
Man.
And I had a fever for 2 weeks, so I felt like out of it for like 3 weeks. And then on week 4, I felt back to it. I was already starting to like work out again. And then I felt good. Like week 4, 5, 6, I felt great. And then I think it was like week 6 after COVID, I got in a car accident. Some lady wrecked us from the back, and it was just fantastic. She like totaled my car, and I got a concussion.
It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. I'm like in the middle of the median with my dog crying, and I just had my dog.
Yoshi girl.
Yoshi. We'd only had Yoshi for literally like 6 days. And then Yoshi's like, what is happening? And we didn't have a seatbelt at the time because I didn't know about it. But yeah, it was very traumatizing, and I'm like holding Yoshi in the middle of the road, and she's like shaking, and I'm like all dizzy and nauseated. I'm like, what the hell? And I've had a concussion before, so I was like, here we go again.
You knew what was coming.
Like,
and don't they say that if you have a concussion, you're more susceptible from getting it again?
Absolutely. So after that, we rushed over to the ER, or not the ER, thankfully, but like urgent care, and they like, you know, make sure we're like okay. But it was just really intense. And then like I had this weird brain scan, and they're like, yeah, you have like some weird, and I still need to get it checked out. But they're like, yeah, you have some weird like gray matter in your brain, or I don't even remember.
That's so scary.
And I was telling Hannah about this a couple days ago, but I had like memory issues for like 3 months, and like I was just like not myself. Like I felt like I had a lot of like mood swings and mood issues. Like I was very irritable. I'm already kind of an irritable person, so you can imagine I was like off the walls.
It's really crazy. If I am that person too. Like I'm hot-headed. Like I'm very like intense. Like I'm that person. Side note, this is me going, but I've been doing Wim Hof.
Ooh.
Dude, and I'm telling you, it's like the only thing I've ever done, and I meditate, I journal, I do all of these things, but that helps me kind of be present with where I'm at here rather than just charging through life. But the breath work has helped me be able to implement like my monk mind versus my monkey mind, like in a moment where I'm irritable and I just want to react. The breath work is what's been like, okay, I can feel it, right? Like I can feel that this reaction is going to happen. And talk about this is where you're at the moment. This is my ultimate goal for the last like 2 to 3 years, and I still have got a fucking far way to go if I'll ever get there in life. But I think we all, I don't know about you, but I used to chase external strength, which is why I used to lift really heavy weights, which is why I'm always going 100%. It's like I'm trying to prove to the world or myself that I'm strong, right? Like for whatever messed up reason. But when you peel back the layers, it's like, okay, why am I doing that? Why can I not sit still? Why do I need to show, like, I've accomplished a lot. Like, why am I still going at this pace? Like, what's the deal here? Where's the end goal? But now it's like the ultimate goal is to be able to control motion, right? Which is intangible. You can't see it. No one can see it.
So hard.
It is the hardest thing to do. But I honestly believe it's like a muscle too, though, because I can feel it. And that's such an incredible and empowering feeling when you can recognize yourself being able to implement it. Man, 2020 kicked your ass.
2020 was so hard, but I feel like, you know, I triumphed, and I feel like a phoenix, you know?
Yeah, and blessing in disguise, because I think that, like, personal development and internal work is so important, and it's just as important as the external physical, and they all can't be here all the time. So, like, those tanks, right? Like, you just got to keep all of them somewhat with something. Don't let any of them run empty.
Yeah, I feel like 2020 just kind of, like, helped me stay, like, grounded. You know, like, and remember, and I try to always have this mindset, but like, tomorrow's never like granted.
Right.
So I think it's just important to just enjoy everything and try to be grateful. And I think in moments that I am like feeling overwhelmed emotionally, I'm like, maybe we should practice this gratitude thing and breathe.
I do it. It's the first thing I do every morning. I used to make it such a hard project and be like, all right, I got to get up and write down what I'm grateful, and I'd get like, I am grateful for this. I am grateful for this. I am grateful for this. And just write, I am grateful. I'm blah, blah, blah. But now I'll just do it in my head. Before I even open my eyes, I grab my dog and I'm like, And starting with the most simple things. But when you start your day that way and you start, like, we reset, right? When you get the chance to reset, I think we should all try and make it the best,
That's
right?
the best part of the morning, when I see my dog laying in the sun.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
come and I cuddle her.
Like, you know? Oh man. So does Yoshi sleep in the bed?
Yes. So we started off, trying to be disciplined and having her own bed. And then she's smart. Like, she would start coming up at sunrise because she realized that when the sun's up, she can get in the bed.
Yeah.
And then it started going to like 4 a.m. and 3 a.m. and 2 a.m. I'm like, can she tell time?
Wow, that's so impressive. Smart. That's awesome.
She can count too. She's really, really smart.
She can also howl, right?
She can howl. She's so
By accident. She's just so talented. What were you trying to teach her and she went for howl instead?
I was trying to teach her smile with like a hand gesture to my mouth. And then she started like making these cute little howling noises. And then I caught on and I was like, howl? And she's like, yes.
Let me do that again, Mom. I love that. So we talked about personal, we talked about business, we talked about relationships with Eric, which kind of led into business. But relationships for me are not just the person that you're with.
Absolutely.
And these 3 things that I'm talking about, right? Personal, business, relationships. These to me are the most important things that, and obviously ourselves, but that's the personal, are the things that we should all focus on throughout life. And this can apply to absolutely anyone and anything that they do. Your personal, cool. You're always doing things for yourself. You know who you are, you know where you're going. Your business is awesome. You're growing, you're killing it. I'm seeing you just continue to fucking spread the wings and make it. Girl, I don't know why you're trying to be like me. You're killing it. Like, I think it's amazing. You know what I'm saying?
Channel that badass energy.
Relationships, everything's great with Eric. You guys found your way. Now let's talk about relationships as far as like friends, family. You moved away from Miami. Was that an easy decision? Was that a tough decision?
So it was pretty easy because I'd only been living back at home for a year because I went to school in Orlando and then I lived in Gainesville while I was working at that law firm. So I'd already been away for 5 years. So to me,
that's so hard to go
home. It was
home.
a piece of cake.
What about friends?
Yeah, I really do miss my friends, but I'm pretty fortunate because one of my best friends, we talk almost every day, and she's been to Austin more times than we can count.
That's awesome.
So it's really dope, and everybody jokes about like when she's moving to Austin. But yeah, one of my other best friends hasn't been able to make it, but we're like in pretty good communication.
That's
so
awesome.
nice.
That's really cool. And to be able to do that is important because I have to admit, like, whenever my personal goals are being met, my business goals are being met, I sacrifice my friendships, and I always like cancel, or I can't make it, or I'm traveling on someone's birthday, I'm traveling on someone's even wedding, like babies being born. Like, it was so bad in 2018 and 19 that I'm like, almost, if there is a silver lining, I'm so grateful that we were all forced to slow the fuck down, because I had no idea how much I was missing until I was forced to see how much I was actually present for. It's like, whoa, like, I didn't realize how absent I've been. And I don't know if it's in the mindset of like, I'm just gonna grind now and like figure it out later. But what I realized, especially over 2020, is that why are we grinding if there's no relationships? What are we doing this for? To live life alone and miserable? For what? Am I working this hard? And like my relationship, my marriage, right? The goal was always like, I'm grinding now for our future. Like, we're gonna work hard now for our future. Well, if you keep fucking grinding, there ain't gonna be a future with the person that you're talking about, right? So it's like, being able to understand how to balance that is such a challenge. Just, I'm sure like it is for anyone, what they do, making sure that the work life is good, kids, wife, whatever is good. Bring kids into the equation, I can't even imagine.
No.
But like, and then they've all got friendships, they're going for happy hour, they're doing things with their girlfriends, they're doing this on girls' trips. And I used to sit there going, how? How do they do that? I think dialing it back and having some pretty heavy lines and having independency is huge. And I heard you say it in a piece where we were talking about what you were doing with Eric and how you guys tried to do it as just him, then you did yourself, then you understood the strengths together. I think that's pretty evident too, even in a conversation at dinner the other night, that it's important to have your own shit, right? No matter how much you guys are a force together, you still want to be independent. You don't want to rely on each other, right? Like, we're only going to be successful together. That was something that Paolo and I struggled with for years. It's like, no, I think that I need to pursue what I want to do. He needs to pursue what he wants to do. And then we've got this common ground where we can fucking kill it together.
I think it makes each other stronger.
Absolutely. But talk to me about like that for how it is with you guys.
So pretty much, I love it because a lot of times, like, we still want to do everything together.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, we should go to this continuing education course together, and maybe we should go to like this education retreat together. But I think it's so beautiful when we kind of and it's difficult, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, you know what? I think I should do this just myself. And like being able to have different crafts that we each specialize in. For example, like I started picking up Indian clubs again, because I played with them a little bit, and they're like these little wooden clubs that you can kind of twist around your head. But I've been doing just Indian club work on my own, and I'm able to share it with him and kind of have him like learn from me. And I think that just humility of being able to like learn from each other and still be our own relative, like, you know, our own, relatively speaking, experts in certain things, it's so humbling. And then the way we make it work, like practically speaking, we pretty much just try to collab when it comes to our projects, and then like throughout the whole day we're both like flying on our own.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing his thing, I'm doing my thing, and then we kind of like have scheduled meetings together. But it's really cool, and especially when we have meetings, now we're trying to like be more professional about it and act like we don't live in the same house together.
Yeah, it's hard though, right?
But we're like, all right, at 4 on Wednesday, we're gonna meet, you know, at this place. And I think it's better when we do it outside the home.
Yeah.
Because then we're like, oh wait, but you know, I'm cooking a brisket, and let me just, what?
Yeah.
It's like, let's do it at 6, and then it never gets done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just being able to have like humility with it, I think is super important, because like I'm like one of Eric's kettlebell students, you know, like I learned kettlebell from him, and then of course I teach kettlebell to other people, but he is my kettlebell coach.
Right.
Like he actually is my kettlebell coach. And I think when a lot of people hear me say that, they think I'm just trying to like be humble and like maybe like blow smoke up his ass, but it's like, no, he actually is my kettlebell coach.
That's awesome.
And he teaches me new stuff with the kettlebell all the time, because like that's his forte.
That's his world, right?
That's
I
his
love
forte.
that. And now, you know, multiple worlds blend over, they fall over, and they create these new incredible worlds that you guys are pursuing together. It's really, really cool. It is, it's awesome. Well, you know, is there anything else that you want to let the world know?
Just, you know, try to do your best, and if you feel like you don't know what's your passion, just try things, and don't be afraid to quit things. You know, just think of life as like an ever-ending game. You know, you want to find joy and try to find like little hidden Easter eggs wherever we can.
I like that. And to finish, if you had to tell these guys one thing that you know the world doesn't know about you, what would it be?
Ooh.
And I don't want to put you on the pressure or anything, but you have to answer.
I can dance to no music.
Can you? Oh my gosh, this is going to make people go to YouTube. Are you ready? So if you're listening right now and you're not watching, you're missing out. Are you ready to dance to no music? Oh shit, you guys should see what is going on over here.
Some disco vibes.
Oh, and if you can't see, you're missing out. Check it out on YouTube. Fast forward to the end. Yes, guys, it has been unbelievable to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me some of your time. And thanks for being an incredible force in this industry. You're a cool chick, and I wish you the best of luck. Where can these guys find you?
Thank you again. You're awesome. Y'all can find me on Instagram at Francheska Fit. That's CHESKA after the Fran. And then I'm on Facebook, YouTube, everything but TikTok. I don't use my TikTok or Twitter. Anything but TikTok and Twitter.
Me too. And like, I'm trying to refuse to download TikTok because I'm scared I'm going to get obsessed with it.
It's obsessive.
It's only so long. Listen, thank you so much. I appreciate it, sister. Give me a high five. Boom.